Initially, I hesitated to dive into reviewing the Star Wars movies due to the extensive lore and depth of each film. However, here we are and ready to explore the cinematic universe. We'll start with Star Wars The Force Awakens, as is part of the third trilogy in the Star Wars saga. This epic space opera film is co-produced, co-written, and directed by J.J. Abrams. Serving as a direct sequel to the 1983 film Return of the Jedi, it is the 7th film chronologically and the 7th film released by Lucas Studios. More on that later. The story revolves around the conflict between the Resistance, led by General Leia Organa, and the First Order, a military faction that has emerged in the wake of the fallen Galactic Empire. Rey, a scavenger and orphan, quickly finds herself drawn into this intergalactic struggle. With a runtime of 138 minutes, The Force Awakens signals the beginning of what could be the final chapters in the Skywalker saga. But before we get into the review, if you enjoy this type of content, feel free to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, hitting the notification bell will alert you when we drop new content. Now, let's get critical. 30 years following the Battle of Endor, the First Order emerges as a formidable threat to the New Republic, prompting General Leia Organa to lead the Resistance against their tyranny. In her quest, Leia searches for her missing twin brother, Luke Skywalker. On Jakku, Resistance pilot Poe Dameron obtains a map to Luke's location but is captured by the First Order. His droid, BB-8, escapes with the map and encounters Rey, a scavenger. Together with Finn, a former stormtrooper turned ally, they embark on a mission to deliver the map to the Resistance. Their journey leads them to Han Solo and Chewbacca, who join their cause against the First Order's Starkiller base, a planet-destroying superweapon. On the Falcon, Han reveals that BB-8's map to Luke is incomplete. He recounts Luke's attempt to rebuild the Jedi Order, which ended in tragedy when his apprentice turned to the dark side, destroying Luke's temple and killing the other Jedi. Seeking assistance, the crew visits Maz Kanata on the planet Takodana. Maz offers aid in delivering BB-8 to the Resistance. During their visit, Rey is drawn by the Force to a hidden chamber where she discovers Luke's lightsaber. She is plagued by unsettling visions, including a memory of her childhood on Jakku. Despite Maz urging to embrace the weapon, Rey rejects it and flees into the surrounding forest. Sensing Rey's potential, Maz entrusts the lightsaber to Finn for safekeeping. As the Resistance faces devastating losses and Starkiller Base destroys the New Republic, Rey discovers her Force sensitivity and confronts Kylo Ren, the warlord serving Supreme Leader Snoke. In a climactic battle, Rey defeats Kylo and escapes with the injured Finn. Meanwhile, R2-D2 awakens to reveal the final piece of the map, leading Rey to find Luke Skywalker on a remote planet. The future of the galaxy hangs in the balance as Rey presents Luke with his lightsaber, setting the stage for a chapter in the ongoing struggle between light and dark. J.J. Abrams demonstrated skillful direction in the film, attempting to navigate any potential interferences from Disney in shaping the narrative. The renowned special effects studio Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, acquired by Disney in 2012, contributed significantly to the visual spectacle of the movie. Characters like Lupita Nyong'o's Maz Kanata showcased ILM's groundbreaking effects in 2015. The direction maintains a straightforward approach, with the exception of the plot twist revealing Kylo Ren's lineage as the son of Leia Organa and Han Solo. While collaborating with Larry Kasdan on The Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams maintained respect for Lucas's portrayal of midichlorians' impact on certain characters' Force abilities. Nonetheless, as a child, he interpreted Obi-Wan Kenobi's explanation of the Force in Star Wars to suggest that any character could harness its power, perceiving it as rooted more in spirituality than in science. Abrams preserved the concept of the Force encompassing both a light and dark side, with certain characters' temptation by the dark side serving to generate conflict within the narrative. The release of the first trailer for The Force Awakens in 2015 sparked a wave of racial criticism aimed at John Boyega, a black British actor who played the role of Finn due to his prominent role in the film. Certain individuals on social media called for a boycott, labeling the movie as anti-white and alleging that it promoted white genocide. Additionally, Rey's character faced scrutiny, with some fans labeling her as a flawless Mary Sue character. This group, known as the Fandom Menace, directed their frustration towards Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, accusing her of tarnishing the franchise with what they perceived as forced diversity and pro-feminist themes. Despite the negative rhetoric, the actors delivered commendable performances and approached the lore with seriousness, honoring a fandom that spans generations. However, the overall direction of the Skywalker saga appears to be veering in a concerning direction, bordering on nostalgia bait. The narrative fails to adequately explain how the Republic failed and how the First Order rose to power, and many characters lack significant development arcs. While the introduction of nuances like stormtroopers rebelling, embodied solely by Finn, and Luke Skywalker's transition into a hermit who has turned away from the Force yet remains crucial to ending the First Order, only for Rey to emerge as the unexpected savior, appears on the surface to be novel nuances, these plot points ultimately leave much to be desired in terms of coherence for the audience. Initially, I must admit I was optimistic about the direction in which this film aimed to take the Star Wars franchise. While I wouldn't consider myself a Star Wars aficionado, I've played enough of their games and seen all the movies to grasp the majority of the lore. The return of Mark Hamill, the late Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford was pivotal in generating excitement and driving ticket sales for this movie, evident in its impressive box office earnings of over $2 billion. Some may have been hesitant about the shift in protagonists from Luke to the female arc of Rey, but with the introduction of characters like Poe Dameron and Finn, I entertained the idea that they might also become Jedi disciples. I hope that The Force Awakens would showcase these characters as a redemption for Luke after losing Ben Solo to the dark side. Viewing the film for what it is, I found it boasted a strong supporting cast and a commendable portrayal of the reluctant hero in Daisy Ridley's Rey. While I am a fan of Adam Driver, I felt his portrayal of Kylo Ren came off a bit too petulant. While the intention may have been to highlight his weaknesses inherited from Anakin Skywalker, his grandfather, adding more nuance to his character would have been preferable. Throughout the movie, he seemed to be throwing tantrums left and right, and I wasn't entirely sure if this was intentionally funny or to be taken serious. However, I did find Han Solo's demise to be a significant turning point for Kylo Ren's character arc, marking the potential completion of his descent into the dark side and possibly solidifying him as the ultimate antagonist. In terms of overall storyline, I couldn't help but feel it was somewhat stale. A tale of one tyrannical power replacing another with a resistance movement fighting against it. The sequel trilogy missed an opportunity to introduce fresh perspectives and address the real challenges and complexities that arise in a post-revolution era. Exploring the dynamics of former alliances vying for power and struggling to maintain order across the galaxy alongside the rise of a new Jedi Order would have provided a more compelling narrative. While the prequel trilogy focused on an establishing government and the election of a dictator through diplomatic means, with the Jedi and the Force serving as a backdrop, and the original trilogy depicted the rise of said empire, the sequel trilogy seemed to merely rehash the same themes, albeit under the guise of the First Order, with seemingly limitless resources now ruling over the galaxy. While some may argue that a romantic subplot between the main characters, Finn and Rey, would have been a cliché, the chemistry between John Boyega and Daisy Ridley was palpable, especially if the script had allowed them both to become Jedi. Unfortunately, the setup provided by The Force Awakens left much to be desired for the subsequent movies. For those considering watching these films, particularly the Skywalker saga, most would recommend viewing them in chronological order, spanning episodes 1 through 9. However, experiencing them as they were released to the public allows for the full impact of moments like the big reveal in episode 5. With that said, I rate The Force Awakens 2 out of 5 stars.
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.